Welcome to the CEO of Destiny podcast, where you will find the tools to fulfill the purpose of your generation and wildly succeed in the marketplace. And now your host, Andre J. Benjamin.
When you were, so you start seeing success with the app and you're making money, and I want to talk about the things that inspire you. But when you were start making money and did that change your relationship with those who were in the know? Because everybody's not on, apps and whatnot, but those that were in the know, did it change your relationship with people, or were people just like, man, I'm excited about this for you?
What do you mean people in the know?
Meaning people who knew, because you didn't tell everybody that you had a successful app. I'm assuming you weren't walking around with a billboard, get my app, I'm already making great money off of this, now you guys make me richer. Like you're just doing your business and you saw something take off, and then like you said, you start to figure out, maybe double down on it or continue on in the path.
Yeah, well, it was cool. I think, again, I'm so blessed to have like a family that supports me and friends that supported me. Like they all thought it was cool. And like I was grinding with my friends on this type of stuff. Like a lot of my close friends were doing similar sort of stuff. So, we'd always bounce ideas off each other. But yeah, I mean, my other friends who weren't, necessarily entrepreneurial would come to me and be like, yo, I want to make an app. Like I see you're doing this and whatever. So it was cool. It was all love. Nothing bad.
And this is in Atlanta, correct?
Correct. Alpharetta, a little suburb. Nice.
Okay, and then who are some of the people that inspire you? You already talked about the social network, and that was a film version of some events that took place, but what are some of the people that personally were inspiring you? And you talked about that teacher that believed in you in high school and also kind of planted that seed for you to also do the same for others. So who are some of the people that you would say inspire you?
Definitely Mr. Nick, that teacher, definitely the social network, definitely my pops. He definitely inspired me a lot at an early age. He told me when I was a young kid, he said, I remember this like vividly in my brain, like, don't work for the man, like do your own thing. And I was like, all right, I get it. Okay. And he's successful, but like at the same time, he's like, yo, don't work for the man. Like you're smarter than that. You can do your own thing. So
he sparked that seed in you when you talked about selling random things from door to door. It made you actually appreciate sales, because most people, and can you define sales in the manner in which you see it? Because a lot of people still have a lot of hangups about sales. They have a negative perception of sales. And I think that kind of comes from almost the employee-based school system that just kind of teaches people to be a cog. And so they see sales as something slimy, not realizing when they're sitting in the classroom, that's selling them ideas right there. Can you talk about why sales is important?
Sales is like you're selling yourself every day, right? Whether it's to a girl, whether it's, to get a job, whatever it may be, like you're always selling yourself. It's more so like marketing. Like how can I make my product attractive? How can I get my product in front of people? And sales is a great thing. Sales and marketing are an amazing thing. It's a skill that you have to hone throughout the years. And there are slimy ways to go about it, and there are like really cool ways to go about it. There's a million things that sales is such a broad term. Like you said, it's really hard to define, but the way I look at it is just like, how can I get people to talk about what I want them to talk about?
So what were the aspects about how your dad was selling that inspired you to adopt the skill set of selling and then think about marketing as well?
I would go into my dad's work or whatever, and I didn't really know what was going on, but I think just in general, the way he spoke to people, the way he acted, the way he was, got along with everyone, the way he always knew what people were talking about and always had something to say about certain topics, like that is sales to me. Like, you're more so selling yourself as a person, right? Like if people like you, they're going to buy from you, which was, I don't know, it's crazy. Like my dad always sold like online digital products too, like tech sales kind of. So
like SaaS, he did like SaaS?
Or yeah, SaaS, like digital products, like stuff like that. And I don't know. I just like, he was at a very high level. So a lot of it went over my head as a young kid, but like, yeah, just the way he carried himself and the way he spoke to people, and the way people like listened to him. And like, that was to me what I got out of yeah, my childhood.
So let's talk about a little bit about vaping and kind of like what vaping is, why it took off, and then how it impacted you, and then kind of the moves that you made of why you wanted to even impact that arena.
Yeah, 100%. So I was a sophomore in college, still grinding, doing my entrepreneurial thing, trying to figure it out while in school. I was actually a junior in college when vapes hit the market pretty hard, and I got addicted. My friends got addicted.
What is a vape?
A vape is a Juul. Have you heard of Juul? It's like a electronic cigarette that you smoke.
Okay.
And these things were being passed around like candy at parties, which is insane because a year prior, not even 6 months prior, if I had $100 bill and tried to buy a cigarette on campus, I couldn't do it because no one smokes cigarettes, right? Like, and that's the crazy thing about my generation is we're so turned off by cigarettes. Like, it has been so instilled in us that cigarettes are bad that you would think vapes wouldn't be able to touch us, right? It's complete opposite. They took over. Like, every young kid I knew had at least tried one, if not like owned one, which was insane. And immediately I saw that and I was like, okay, this is a real problem. Like, the market is clearly shifting. Young people are not smoking cigarettes, they're vaping. That is it's onboarding people to nicotine addiction. It's the gateway, right?
Wow.
So I knew that was going to be a problem, and I was witnessing it firsthand. So I was like, okay.
Saying this because I'm in the era where in the 90s, I'm in high school, and our Washington State had a big thing because they kind of took down the Marlboro, Camel and Joe Camel and all that, and the AG of the state won this big massive antitrust suit or whatever, and we had so much like consistent propaganda about cigarettes being bad. And there were kids smoking back then. But you're saying, so I thought that the work had been done to where even public smoking was, and now, you almost kind of, people, I mean, there was a comedian that said, can you even smoke on planet Earth now? Like, they were just joking of saying, where can you go and get a good cigarette? So when vaping arrives in your world, how does it arrive and what makes it appealing for your generation?
It arrives in a sleek, cool looking package. It arrives flavored. It arrives as something socially acceptable. It arrives everywhere really fast. It arrives with no information surrounding it. It just popped up out of nowhere, right? And like,
so it's at parties, people are doing it. Are influencers doing it, or is it just general people just get a hold of it and it's going?
It's crazy. Influencers to this day are doing it. Like, any podcast you go on, any YouTube video, more often than not, someone's got a vape and they're smoking on it. Like, I saw, Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I watched his podcast where he interviewed the chain smokers. They both had a Juul. Like, but it's like, it's insane. Like, that podcast gets millions and millions of views. And you see this in Netflix shows, and people smoke cigarettes in Netflix shows and stuff too. But like, it's just like, everything is pointing to this being the new wave of smoking. Like, tobacco companies are shifting their whole focus into vapes because it's the future. It's very clearly the future of nicotine addiction. Like, it is what's happening. Cigarettes are done. Cigarettes are 20 years from now, I'll be surprised if you could find a cigarette like anywhere. It's going to be all vapes, 100%.
So when you say that it is a gateway, why do you say it's a gateway to nicotine? Is it because it's more attractive, or is it because it's more, because people would smoke and then they would always use, like, showing us the corroded gums and the messed up teeth and the bad breath and cancer and all this stuff? What makes vaping now more, all right, I'd rather do this than that?
Yeah. So like the way people of generations ahead of me, like, think about vaping is like, oh, vaping is a good thing. Vaping gets people off of cigarettes, which may be true for a lot of like older generation people.
That's what I thought. That's what I heard, was that it was safer than cigarettes.
Exactly. And this is the biggest disconnect that no one seems to be able to wrap their head around. For my generation and generations below me, no one is smoking cigarettes first. They're all smoking vapes first.
Wow.
And then, it's
not getting them off of anything. It's actually getting them onto, is what you're saying.
it's getting them onto nicotine. And whether they keep vaping throughout their life or they, level up into cigarettes, it's like, why? It's why. And like, you ask every vape company why they created their company, why Juul made Juul. It's to get people off cigarettes. And sure, that may have been their motivation at the beginning, but once it hit the younger market and they saw that they could hook people for life on a Juul and get consistent sales that way, like their whole business model changed. And,
And so when you say get people hooked, cigarettes was a very costly habit. Is vaping very costly for young people, or is it inexpensive and that's why they do more? Can you talk about that?
It's very costly. Like I remember some Juul, like the Juul starter pack used to be like $70, and then like pods were like $12 for a 4-pack or something crazy. It's like insane. I think there's a statistic. It's like the average vapor spends at least $80 a month, just keeping up the addiction, and that can go upwards of a couple $100. And that's on average, right? Because some people will get their juice and it's really cheap and they put it in their like box mod or whatever it may be. But like if you're smoking disposable vapes or like Juuls, you're spending a lot of money, and that's just a fact.
It's plaguing. This is junior year in college, correct? It's plaguing. It's at the parties. It's everywhere. People are, oh, this is cool. Like you said, it's flavored. It's marketed well. What it hits you, and then what makes you turn to say this is a problem.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Do us a favor. If this was useful in any way for you, please go to iTunes and leave us a review. Reviews will allow others to easily discover the podcast. If you'd like more information and to receive a free download, rediscover your destiny, go to ceoofdestiny.com. Thanks again, and tune in next time.